Now that we've done all the operations with fractions, we're ready to look at how order of operations works when dealing with fractions. And the nice thing is it is the same order we saw before when working with order of operations. And that's our GEMDAS: grouping, exponents, multiplication and division, addition, and subtraction. So if I had an example like 9/10 divided by 12/5 plus 5/2 squared times 1/30, I just need to follow order of operations, and then each operation uses the fraction concepts we've seen in this unit. There's no grouping symbols, so we're going to go to exponents. And we see that 5/2 is squared. That's going to give us 9/10 divided by 12/5 plus, squaring both the 5 and the 2 gives us 25/4 times 1/30. After exponents, we do multiplication and division from left to right. On the left, we've got 9/10 divided by 12/5. And so I might think to myself, OK, we need to multiply by the reciprocal. So off to the side, I'll just do it underneath here. 9/10 times 5/12, multiplying by the reciprocal. The 10 and the 5 can reduce. Remember, with multiplication, we can reduce at the beginning. So 10/5 reduces to 2. The 9 and 12 reduce, dividing by 3, leaving behind 3 and 4. And so I have 3 times 1 is 3, over 2 times 4 is 8, plus 25/4 times 1/30. Continuing the multiplication and division from left to right, multiplication is going to come next. I can reduce the 25 and the 30 by dividing by 5 to get 5 and 6. So we end up with 3/8 plus 5 over, multiplying across, 24. All that's left now at the end is to add the two fractions together. We know to add fractions, we need a common denominator. And for these numbers, the common denominator is 24, which I can get by multiplying the first fraction by 3/3, giving me 9/24 plus 5/24. We can add the numerator and keep the denominator. Don't forget to check to reduce your final answer. They're both divisible by 2 to give me 7/12 for my final solution. Let's try one more example. Let's try 8/5 squared minus 9/10 times the absolute value of 7/3 minus 9/2. With this problem looking at GEMDAS, we have a grouping symbol in that absolute value sign. So to do that, we're going to subtract first the 7/3 minus the 9/2. We need a common denominator. We can get that by multiplying the first fraction by 2/2 and the second fraction by 3/3. And that's going to give us 14/6 minus 27/6. And when we subtract those, that's going to give us negative 13/6. So we end up with 8/5 squared minus 9/10 times the absolute value of negative 13/6. But remember, absolute value has one extra operation we have to do when it's simplified to finish that grouping symbol, and that makes it positive. So now we have 8/5 squared minus 9/10 times a positive 13/6. After our grouping symbols, the next thing in order of operations is the exponent. And we know we need to square both the 8 and the 5 to get 64/25 minus 9/10 times 13/6. After exponents, the next thing we do is multiply. Let's do some reducing with that 9 and 6, both divisible by 3, leaving behind 3 and 2. So we have 64/25 minus 3 times 13 is 39/20. Now all that's left is the subtraction problem. To do that, we need to get a common denominator. The common denominator of 25 and 20 is going to be 100. So we're going to multiply the first fraction by 4/4 and the second fraction by 5/5. 64 times 4 is 256 over 100. Minus 39 times 5 is 195 over 100. And when we subtract those numerators, we end up with 61 over our common denominator of 100. we have our final solution. Order of operations with fractions is just the same as always, GEMDAS. But we need to remember all of our properties with fractions, how to do exponents by every part, how to do multiplication, reducing first, how to do division, multiplying by the reciprocal, and how to add and subtract by first getting a common denominator. It's your turn to practice these, and let your instructor know if you have any questions.